Ladies and gentlemen, the boys are back. This is weighing in. We're brought to you by USA Wrestling, the national governing body for wrestling in the United States, and by Nike Wrestling. Go to athleteps.com for all of your Nike and USA Wrestling branded gear. This really feels like we're in the middle of the season. I talked to GT. He's got a million things going on. I'm actually doing a play-by-play later on today, going to do one this weekend. And then next week's World Cup, Mark's scouting all the stuff, making sure we got the rankings right. And I love the summer season. I get to see a lot of people, but this feels like we're in the heat of it, boys, right?
Absolutely.
GT's out coaching national champions. We're ready to run and gun and rip and run. So let's start with last week. There's I missed something, didn't put it on the docket. Maryland beat Pitt over a week ago. And I think all of us know Alex Clemson at some level. I know Alex fairly well from his time at Missouri. And he made a conscious decision last year to redshirt all those kids that were pretty freaking good. And last year was the year where you couldn't wrestle them a bunch of times and see how good they were. So he had to kind of take it in the teeth. And it's paying off. We saw them at the Mizzou Invite. And, you know, they've got some kids they've got 5-6 kids ranked in the top 25, 33. And to beat Pitt, at the end of the year, you know, if they don't do anything in nationals, it won't matter. And if they win nationals, that duel won't matter. But that's a landmark win for them and puts them on the scene. They're in the rankings, top 25 dual meet. So, you know, GT, I know you guys built that program from nothing at Grandview. Like, what's it like to get that first kind of big dual win?
Well, I think, you know, for Clemson, I mean, like, you know, he went from like a winning program at Mizzou and they were constantly winning, you know, however many duels, 16 duels, 15 duels a year, to basically kind of planting his flag out there at Maryland. And, you know, once again, you kind of got to go through the tough times in order to have these opportunities, right? So, you know, he's also an extremely prolific conference in the Big Ten. So, like, you can get discouraged very quickly when your schedule goes Penn State, Iowa, Michigan, Minnesota, Ohio State, Purdue, Indiana. Like, you know, it's like right after, like, hey, guess what? That's Friday, Sunday, Friday, Sunday, Friday, Sunday.
It's a 3-piece and the biscuit, yeah.
So, I mean, anytime that you can knock off in a dual meet scenario, a great Pittsburgh University wrestling team, and they've had some studs at Pittsburgh, and they have a very young staff as well. You know, it's really cool landmark win for a program that, you know, hasn't had much of those type of really good signature wins for Clemson. Yeah. So super happy for him, super happy for his athletes too that have bought into his system. So let's see how they continue to progress. So
yeah, he brought the best of that Tiger style over. Obviously put his own, you know, salt and pepper moments on there. Jackson Smith and shout out to the Miller brothers, Kansas City kids, Park Hill High School, Greater Heights kids, Jason Keck's guys. We got to call a bunch of their matches a couple weeks ago. Mark, I know you and I had our eye on the Minnesota-South Dakota State duel, and Minnesota wins that duel, but there's a couple of upsets. Minnesota needed an upset to win the duel. Von Bar had to beat Carlson at 41. I'm super high on Minnesota in terms of tournament, and when we get to those scores, you know, we'll talk about that. But is it Minnesota not as good as I think I am? Are they just not a great dual meet team, or is South Dakota State better than any of us are thinking?
I don't think Minnesota had all their guys in the lineup either, David. I think they're going to be a very good team. I think you're finding out that their backups are pretty solid. Obviously, they didn't have their starter in at 41, who's ranked 3rd in the country. I don't think their 57-pounder wrestled in that duel. So, you know, he's ranked number 3 or 4 in the country. When you don't have your big guns in there and, you know, somebody early in the year doesn't wrestle up to their standard and they lose to somebody that may not be quite as good as them, but, you know, things happen. So I wouldn't sell Minnesota right now, not even close. I think they're going to be really good.
Yeah. So we're going to get into all the rankings and stuff. There's one dilemma that I think is really important to address, and I'll address it and let you guys comment as the guy that did the rankings first. There is an inherent bias when you rank people that you want people to look back and go, he was right. Like if I'm doing track and Mark's doing flow and GT's doing intermat, like people want to look back and go, I can't believe GT had this guy ranked first, he ended up 7th, or David had this guy ranked first, he ended up 6th. That's the wrong way to look at it. You're supposed to rank them where they are that week. Okay. And it's hard because 80% of the people look at it the other way and you go, I was not wrong in week 4. People get better, people get worse, people get injured, results come in, things like that. And the other part of this, which Mark and I struggled with tremendously, was how long do you rank somebody that doesn't wrestle? So, for example, Spencer Lee, we're going to get to the Iowa State duels. We got a cool contest going. We're going to make picks. We have to make picks. If you take Spencer Lee out of Iowa's lineup, they're 20 points less. They are no longer on their own tier at second. And I understand he's going to wrestle, but he hadn't wrestled. And the last time he tried to wrestle, he got hurt and couldn't wrestle anymore. And unless you are literally a person with an evil heart, everybody wants to see Spencer wrestle. Even if you're the biggest fan of the school that's the biggest rival of them, you want to see him wrestle. It's good for the sport. He's an amazing young man, 4-time national champ, history, great representative of our sport. But it gets tricky. And I remember one year, we almost got balled out, Mark, because we kept Kyle Snyder in the rankings. Like, well, he hasn't wrestled in a month. He wrestled in Russia, and that's a different thing than Spencer Lee not wrestling at all.
Sure.
So there's a bunch of these things like this that we're going to get into, but I just want to lay that out for people. Like, I firmly believe, and we didn't get into it last week, I firmly believe Paniro Johnson should be number 1 at 149. I don't think he's going to win nationals. I'm not even sure he's going to beat Murin on Sunday in Carver as a freshman. Okay. And if he did, I would take him out of number 1, but I don't think I would be wrong this week. Paniro Johnson beat Gomez. Gomez beat Yanni. Gomez beat Sasso. The only other person I think you can put at number 1 is Milner or maybe Parco, but Parco has an injury default loss. But I think Paniro Johnson has to be at 1 or 2. If you put Milner at 1 because he placed last year and he's undefeated, I got no problem with that. I know why they did Yanni, and it'll look good all year when you look back. Like, see, we had Yanni ranked 1 all year. We didn't pay attention to that loss. You're supposed to pay attention to the loss. It's a loss. And he didn't lose on criteria. He didn't get caught late. He got taken down 3 times and got no takedowns for him and got lost back points. Now, I bet if I asked 10 people, who do you pick in the rematch? I bet 9 of them would pick Yanni. But he lost. And if they seeded the tournament right now, he would not be the 1 seed. So that's my diatribe. That's my first name, Mark GT, stand on the soapbox, have the veins popping out of my head. So now we can go back to funny, friendly things. So I just wanted to get that out there. By the way, huge portal news. Stephen Buchanan in the portal. Now, I think I know where he's going to go. I'm not going to say. I've talked to somebody. I will tell you boys at 10:56 where he's going. But I will tell you this. He put do not contact. And this is something for all of us to watch going forward. If a guy goes in the portal and says do not contact, he knows where he's going. He is just going into the portal so he can go where he wants to go, and it's already been worked out. I think that's the one thing we can pass on to people. Like, some people go in the portal and they're like, I don't know. Like, if I'll pick the most crazy example in the world. If Nike went out of business, GT would be out there and somebody smart would hire him, and he'd be getting interviewed by all the major players. Like, if somebody offered Grant to be the president of XYZ company, he has to go in the portal for 15 minutes. He's not taking calls. He already has his deal made. So unless something changes in the 23rd hour, Buchanan, I know where he's going. So just It's a huge loss for Wyoming. It also makes sense. I think I told you guys this off the air when they said he's redshirting. I'm like, I bet he's going somewhere. Because he's got a chance to win nationals last year. He's never wrestled Dean. So you just don't know. And they're completely different styles. I think he's better than Dean on his feet. I think Dean's better on the ground, but that's a fascinating one. So let's start with this. GT, you and I were texting. Major takeaways from the All-Star meet.
Well, I think some of my biggest takeaways, one is just it's early in the season, and some of these guys that maybe had some previous credentials didn't look as sharp as I thought they would, probably at this point. We got to remember, the All-Star meet is still at very, very, very beginning part of this season, right?
Yeah.
So some of these guys maybe with injuries or not getting that full season of shape in. There's some stuff out there in the Twitterverse about some of these guys' losses and whatnot, and hey man, it's early. I mean, once again, these are tight, close, contested matches, some of which were in an overtime. Give some flowers to the guys that maybe knocked off somebody that they weren't supposed to, and don't take it all out on the guy that was supposed to win because he was already somewhere, right? So I think for some of the matches that I thought kind of was in that category of either fluke or oh my gosh, that actually happened. Once again, Gomez shows up, Rocky, Elam knocks off Warner. Just all of these matches that were at that. Oh, and Greg Kirkfleet gets his first win against Cassiope. I think he's now 1-3 against Cassiope now. I mean, but once again, these are very tightly contested matches all the time that these guys wrestle for the most part. So having that result happen, I mean, once again, hey, congratulations to those guys knocking off somebody that they weren't supposed to at that duel.
Yeah. Mark, you and I talked about it, but what are one or two things that stood out to you?
Well, I see some glaring issues still that I think one of the things I like watching is when I'm seeing these guys wrestle, David, Grant, is that you see guys that they have some weaknesses. They have some spots where you're expecting them to improve. Sasso on his feet, being able to create his own offense to score points. Still not seeing that. And for him to get to that top rung on the ladder on a Saturday night at the national tournament, he's got to be able to do that. I thought Alira's from Northern Colorado was phenomenal. And I found out something about the opponent he wrestled doesn't create an offense. Very good defensively, and lock you up and drop you on your head and put you on your back. That's what he does. But Alira's had a plan. And for somebody to have a plan when they only had 2 days to prepare for it, because I think that's when, the real Woods dropped out and didn't wrestle in it, is absolutely tells you what kind of character this kid has. So I just think that's what you look at this type of an event, and you find, as a coach, you find out how do you beat this guy, and you start picking ways that it works, and then you find out what they're really good at, and you have to find a way to stop that. So,
yeah, I think this, to go back to GT, this taking that apart, I think is, like you said, don't put too much weight on it, good or bad, right? If your guy wins, we'll get to Alira's. Alira's won. He's not national champion yet, right? Great win, not national champion yet. If you lose, Cole Matthews look, it's cool. You're going to wrestle a great schedule. You go win your matches. You're going to get a high seed at nationals. You did it. You've medaled before. Some of these other guys haven't even medaled. Someone's going to win that weight this year. You're as good as anybody. You just got to get it rolling for the right 3 days, right? We've all coached. We've all given those speeches, so we know that. Specifically, Mark, Sasso counter offense, completely agree. And I think that's why Yanni's a terrible matchup for Sasso, because Yanni's so smart and he has good defense. Even if you lull him to sleep and Sasso shoots on him, he's I can get out of it. But he's taking his time and picking them apart. I'll tell you this, guys. I was watching the match. I'm like, oh my God, Sasso's going to beat Gomez. And now rankings at 49 are going to be completely bonkers. And then it looked like Gomez, it almost looked like a 100-meter dash or 200-meter where the guy comes around the turn and the one guy just locks up and the other guy just keeps going at the same speed and goes by him. They've proven you can't actually go faster once you hit your top speed. It's just like the other guy's slowing down. He took him down. I think he took him down 3 times in 45 seconds at the beginning of that third period. Shot, cut him, little hand fight, shot, cut him, and then got the last one. I mean, if you're Gomez, if you're Reeder and Bono, you're like, man, why don't you do some of that the first 5 minutes? Don't be afraid to mix that in there. Although we all know just hand fighting hard is what gets guys tired, so the dam breaks and the points come, right? But I'll say this. I've completely underestimated Austin Gomez. I thought when he went from 33 to 49, he'd be too small. I don't think I've ever said this on the air, so I just thought I was wrong publicly. Just what I thought. I thought he'd be too small. He had the concussions. I'm like, man, once guys have concussions, it's hard for them to come back. They don't wrestle the same way. You're trying to protect your head, and you can't protect your head in wrestling. Your head's first line of defense and offense. But he's really freaking good, man. And he has to be considered a threat for the national title if he beat Yanni like that. I don't care if he lost to Pinheiro. His best day is as good as anybody's and better than most. So Alira's, I agree completely. And the other thing, and, Mark, you got Iowa Central to its first national title. GT, you're part of that crew at Grandview that took it from not a program to where you are now. This is a landmark for Northern Colorado. It's the first time they've had a guy ranked number 1. And I get rankings mean nothing, but they mean something. They help with recruiting.
Yep.
Nickerson can say, look, you can be ranked number 1 here. Look in the rankings, go online, it's there.
David, I want to talk about one thing you said a little earlier, just for a second.
Sure.
You're talking about Gomez. Gomez coming out of high school was one of the top kids in the country coming out. He had quite a resume. Goes to Iowa State, and nothing against Iowa State because it's a good program. They're doing great things with the kids that they have. But he was going at 133. My opinion was he was too big for 133. So instead of improving and to continue making that progress, he was spending his time trying to make weight. That makes a big difference. Now, he had some signature wins at 133. He beat DeSanto. He pinned RBY. So he had some big wins. But when you're cutting weight like that and then you're getting beat up in the room, it affects your body. Now he's not cutting the weight. He can take a little bit more of a beating in the room, and his skills are just as good. So I think for a lot of people, I think that's important to understand.
No, it's a really good point, and it's nothing against Iowa State. What happens is you recruit kids, you're like, man, we'd be perfect if GT can make 157. We'd just be so good. And GT's a 165. But we can get him down. We can get him down. The test says he can make 157, right? And you're right. And you brought it up. He not only did he pin RBY, then he shushed the crowd. I'll tell you, Gomez, his mindset, man, he's always scared of money, don't make money. Obviously, he didn't create that phrase, but that's how that dude lives his life. He goes for stuff, and you got to give him respect for that. There's a couple other things that I saw that stuck out to me. One is Carter Starachi. He was saying how he's going to tech people and all this stuff. It's not like that. But I think even if Mackay got the first takedown at Nationals, he's just going to keep coming, man. He's a pace guy. You're going to have to take him down 2 times and get a takedown at the end of the period to beat him. That's how you're going to that's just how it's going to have to go. So the other thing two other things I thought, one, Mizzou's had trouble in the round of 12. We've said for 5 years now, they could be a trophy team if they'd win these round of 12, round of 16 matches. They got 2 guys that can make the finals. They have 2 guys now that can make the finals. And you put 2 guys in the finals and one of them wins with bonus, that's probably 40 points. There's not too many other teams that can say our top 2 guys are going to score 40 points. So that's the other thing. And I thought David Carr against Quincy Monday one, I'm old enough to appreciate the Car Monday family lines, the storyline there. But two, I thought David Carr wrestled. He proved he can win from the top. And that's how you think you can beat really, really good guys on their feet, guys with great freestyle backgrounds, and maybe don't spend a lot of time on the mat. Like, we'll just get him to the overtimes. He can ride. He can ride. And on the Quincy Monday, that was a match that Quincy Monday had nothing to lose, and Carr sort of had everything to lose. So that was really interesting as well. So, okay, let's get into the rankings. Okay, so these are the team rankings. And again, this is the composite of intermat, flow, and win. So not a lot of movement last week. We didn't really talk about them. But, and they got these kind of, let me see if this, so team point-wise, Penn State's 1, Iowa's 2, Arizona State's 3, Missouri's technically 4. This is in kind of a goofy order. Ohio State's 5, Michigan 6, Cornell 7. They're kind of on their own tier. And then you got Iowa State, then Minnesota, then Northwestern. So if Iowa did not have Spencer, they would be at 56 points. And if Minnesota had Gable, they'd be at 66 points. And if Arizona State had Teamer, they'd be at 65 points. So we have not done this, guys, but let's go ahead and do this. We might as well do it now. At 12-1 at 10 a.m. is a good time to do it. Let's pick our trophy teams. Marco, Age Before Beauty, who you got?
Really? We're going to do that right now? I'd really like to know who's going to wrestle second semester and where certain kids are going to actually be.
Hey, I didn't pick Minnesota or Michigan last year because I didn't know Suriano was going to be there. So
you had an idea.
No, I didn't. I would have picked.
I'm going to tell you right now. I'll go Penn State, Iowa. I mean, okay. I think that's pretty good for.
Okay.
There's 3 trophies or 4. What are we doing? How many trophies are there?
4.
4. Oh boy. I'm going to take Missouri.
Okay.
And
I know who you're taking for your 4th. I know who you're taking.
You do?
Yes.
Ohio State.
Yes. I knew it. GT.
Well, Penn State, Iowa, Arizona State, Missouri.
Okay. I'm going to go. All right. We're going to Iowa in February, so I don't want anybody to kill me, but I don't think Spencer Lee is going to wrestle. I just don't think his body's going to hold up. I don't think he should hold up. And I think Gable's going to wrestle. So I'm going to go Penn State, Minnesota, ASU, Missouri. So, all right. So here's the other thing that's going on, guys. We got 2 events this weekend. We got Iowa State, and we got CKLV. So our buddies at fantasygrade.com are running. It's not a gambling contest. It's free. You just enter and you can win stuff. The Iowa State duel, and it's a confidence pool pick. So I figured let's play. Let's see how we would do against them. So this is going to be interesting. It'll take a little while to do it, but I'm actually kind of excited to see how this turns out. So let me see here, tab. All right. So the way this works is we're going to pick our winners first, and then the ones you have the most confidence in, you put 10 points next to down to 1. So we had 25 would have been a complete mess because I think everybody would have picked Terrakina against Harris and everybody would have picked Lee instead of Terrakina. So 41 is the only one that's kind of up in the air. I think Redding and Adesanya are pretty similar. So we'll just do this the way it's listed. We'll take turns in order. Mark, who you got at 25?
Terrakina.
Do you have major, or if it's anything extra, tell me.
No, I think it'd be probably a decision. He doesn't major a lot of guys.
ET?
I'll take Terrakina.
Okay. I got Terrakina major.
Now, do we think it's going to be Aiden Harris?
Who else can it be?
I don't know.
Spencer?
It's the Brands
Spencer?
brothers, man. Like they could pull out anybody.
This is their probables. This is who they posted.
Well, they didn't have Brands in the probables against Penn either, so just don't be surprised if Spencer Lee walks out on the mat Sunday.
Okay.
You know, like that's all part of this, right? So I mean, sorry to interrupt the entire thing that we got going on here. But as we've all like been a part of all these things, like, dude, I mean, this is like pulling guys out of like the woodwork for this. Like, hey, no one thought Sam Stoll was going to wrestle, and then all of a sudden, big man walks out and freaking gets a dub, right? You know, we get,
Yeah.
you know, there's tons of things that like occur in these tight duels between everybody, especially within the Iowa State one, where it's like, oh my gosh, never would have thought that they were going to throw that guy out there, and then all of a sudden has a great match.
That's fair, because like I think we thought Adesanya was going to wrestle at the duels down in Florida, and Redding wrestled out of his mind. So, yeah, we're going to go with what we got. Okay, so all right, so GT, you're first here, 33. Okay, is it Shriver or Shriver? Help me with that, Mark.
Shriver.
Okay, Mark or GT, Shriver or Redding or Adesanya? Who you got?
I'll take I think they'll probably wrestle Reading, and I'll take Iowa State by a decision.
Okay, I'm gonna go Iowa State decision. Mark.
I'm gonna take Iowa by decision.
All right. 41. So this is great that I get to pick this first. So I'm going to assume that Real Woods is going to wrestle, and I'm going to take Real Woods by decision. Mark.
Agreed, same.
GT.
I'm going to take, if Real Woods wrestles, I'll take him. But if it's not, I'll take Swiderski for a major.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm doing that. Okay, that's fine. Mark, you want to do that too?
Oh, you guys are something.
Our show.
I understand that, David.
We worked hard to make this our show.
I would take Iowa State by a decision, though. I don't think it'd be a major. Drew can wrestle.
Oh yeah, I mean Drew can wrestle. I'm very high on Swiderski just from
I am too.
What he's done so far this year. Once again, Drew's a beast.
Yeah.
I mean he's done a very good job in his tenure, but I just think Swiderski like catches him with something, and I think he gets if that ends up being the match. But I mean, 3 versus 8 in general, I think Real Woods just has a little bit too much for Swiderski if they were to wrestle.
This is an absolutely fascinating match, right?
Which one?
This duel. I mean, this 41, right? Like if it's Swiderski Woods, because Woods hasn't wrestled. Swiderski's been really good. There's a lot of stuff there. All right. So this one's really interesting to me. Murin, Pinheiro, Mark, you're up. I know you're taking Murin, right?
Well, yeah. By a decision. I need to ask Grant. Your 49-pounder, who's very, very good, lost in overtime.
Yep.
And did you see a different Pinheiro Johnson in that duel than you saw when he wrestled at Wisconsin?
And I don't know Pinheiro Johnson very well as an athlete. I haven't watched a lot of his film or like when he was up and coming through his high school career. And then, basically all I've been able to see is kind of some of his stuff for Iowa State currently. But I think Pinheiro Johnson has this kind of like extra gear when he wants to go and get something. And it's like, he showed that off in his overtime match against the Grandview wrestler.
Okay.
Like, hey man, 8-10 seconds in, he went and got a takedown. Now, once again, I think with his ability as an athlete, like he can go and get it all the time if he wanted it to, in my opinion. So I think this is a very interesting matchup between Mad Max and, his ability to grind matches out and keep things close and win the close, tight matches against really good athletes. So this is going to be, I believe that the 149-pound match, like whoever wins that match, like wins the duel.
swings
I
the
think
duel.
it's such a swing match, because Iowa needs this match in order to win. And then for Iowa State to have an upset, they need to have it at 149.
So then who you got?
I'm taking Iowa.
Okay. All right.
I know who you're taking, David.
Well, I'm not sure if I pick Iowa State, then I got him winning.
You think he should be ranked number 1? Put him.
That doesn't mean I think he's gonna. Did I not say I don't? I think he's gonna get Carvered. I think he's gonna get Carvered. So
yeah, I think a couple of guys are going to get covered. It's different when you wrestle in front of 16,000 fans.
They said tickets are going for $745 on StubHub, which is just unbelievably awesome. Okay. 57 GT, your pick. Who you got?
I'm going to take Crazier for a decision.
That's huge. I'll take Iowa. Mark, you're taking Iowa, I assume?
I am taking Iowa.
All right. I got 65. I'm going to take Carr.
Okay.
What?
No, it's just.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I love that pick. You're taking Carr by a major?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mark?
I'll take Carr by a decision.
Okay. GT?
I'm going to take David by decision.
Okay. Mark? Brands, Broderson?
Brands by a decision.
GT?
I'm going to take Brands by major.
You got Brands decision. GT, another swing match here. Coleman Assad. GT, who you got?
Oh, I apologize. I didn't hear that.
That's
I'm going to
okay.
take Marcus Coleman by a decision.
Okay. Me too. Mark?
I don't know. Of all the guys at Iowa right now, the one guy that was really impressed me this year, the way he's wrestled, and he's in really good shape, is Abe Assad. He's wrestling different than he has the last 2 years.
So you're
Marcus Coleman's an absolute beast. I really like this kid. He came out of Ames, 2-time state champion in Iowa. I'm going to take Assad.
You got them killing them. Okay. 97. That's my pick. Okay. Bastida beat him last year. Supposedly he's better. So I'm going to take Bastida. Mark?
I'm just wondering how much Jacob's going to sweat, because at the All-Star meet, he looked like he was wrestling in a swimming pool.
He's not going to reach Jaden Cox levels. We know that.
I'm not sure anybody can. I'm gonna take Warner at Iowa.
You got a blowout. Oh, my God. All right.
I don't know what I'm doing. I feel like I'm calling the Penn State duel like we did at Joe's.
We're back for that, by the way, for versus Oklahoma State. GT,
Yeah.
who you got?
I'm going to take Younger by decision.
Okay.
Now, remember, guys, I'm the only one of the three of us that put Younger in the finals of the NCAA tournament. I just want that out there.
You're also the only guy that picked Warner.
I picked Warner to beat him at Iowa. I don't have Warner in the finals of the national tournament. I did.
Just saying what we're saying. Go ahead.
I'm done.
No, you're picking heavyweight. You got Cassiope, right?
No, I'm going to go with, Cassiope.
Yeah. PT Cassiope.
I'm going to take Cassiope by fall.
Oh, okay. All right. I got Cassiope by decision. All right. So now we got to figure out the scores here. So Mark's got.
I thought we had to do our. How many?
No, I'm going to do that first, though. But
Okay.
Mark's got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 21 to 6 with a question mark because we don't know about 41. We're just going to do it that way. GT's got Iowa State with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's got it Iowa, by the way. So Mark's got 21-6 Iowa. GT's got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 to 3, 7, 13 with a question mark. So he's got an 18, 13 with a question mark for Iowa State. And I've got it 4, 7, 11, 14, 17 to 17 to 12 with the question mark. So GT, unless something, well, I guess, yeah, I mean, unless Real Woods would pin, we got Iowa State winning the duel.
Yeah. Now I think with how we do kind of our picks and how we talk about kind of the flow of it, we have a 5 match and then an intermission and then another 5 matches, right?
Yep.
So I mean, if Iowa State goes out there and goes 4-1 in the first 5, I mean, I think that puts like maybe those matches in the second half of the duel, like, you know, like how Mark was talking about Abe Assad and how good in shape he is, you know, keeps that match maybe even closer or pulls off that win in that match or something, right? So, I mean, this duel is a lot of momentum too. And once again, you're wrestling inside Carver Hawkeye Arena.
Are they going to flip, or you think they'll just start at 25?
I think they'll start at 25.
I think they'll flip.
I think it benefits Iowa State to start at 25, right?
Totally agree.
So, like,
But I also have this like little inkling in my head that like Spencer's just going to walk out of the mist and just set the place on fire.
well,
I've seen it before. That's what Chem Dog did when he came out. Remember that? And they played the Who Let the Dogs Out, and that place erupted.
100%.
Like nothing I've ever seen. And that's exactly what I was going to do when Spencer rolls out. I think Spencer could wrestle on one knee, and once he gets on top, the match would be over. That's what they're thinking probably. Now, whether he should be out there, I have no idea. I don't, as a coach, I know being a 4-timer is really, really important to the school. And that is one of the most important things that the school's ever had, because they've never had one. And I know it's really important to commentary. And I know they're both very smart individuals, and they're not going to put him out there unless they think 100% he's ready to go. So it wouldn't surprise me if he didn't wrestle, but it sure wouldn't surprise me if he came out and does what he does.
well, if Spencer Lee wrestles, Mark and Real Woods wrestles, Mark's got it 9-1 Iowa. So,
And that can happen.
Do you think Teskey wrestles?
No, I don't think he does.
Okay. That was another question that I wanted to ask you guys before we did anything.
From what I've heard, he's got a bursa sac on his knee, and he's trying to get it taken care of. And I guess they're really painful. And I think the only way to fix it is antibiotics and things like that. So I think he'll probably be a few more weeks out before he'll get a chance to step out there. Schriever can wrestle with both these guys. He just has to do it. He hasn't been impressive yet this year, but I know he's talented. And these guys have never wrestled at the University of Iowa before at Carver. So that's the big thing. How much is Carver going to affect Iowa State? Because some of these guys have never wrestled there. And that's a big thing, because you go out there and you're so pumped and all these people are screaming, and all of a sudden, third period, you're saying, oh, I probably shouldn't have done that. And then, you fall off the cliff. And that's what Iowa hopes for.
yeah. We're not going to do our confidence picks because I want to get to CKLV. But I will say this, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like, assuming that Spencer Lee doesn't wrestle, the 3 most confident picks that most people would have would be 125 to Iowa State, 165 to Iowa State, and I'm guessing 285 to Iowa. Would any of you guys more confident about a match than those 3 results?
These are great questions, Dave.
Very good questions.
I just feel like, I'll say it another way. I feel like 33 could go either way. We don't know who's wrestling at 41, and that's a complete flip. 49, we've talked about, it's a coin flip. 57, I think we think Iowa's going to win, but I mean, GT's got Crazer, so I mean, that means it's kind of a coin flip. 74, I think Nelson Brands would be the number 7 if you go 10, 9, 8, 7 on your confidence pools. We're split at 84 and 97, so I feel like those are the 3 most like, let's put it this way. I would be shocked if David Carr lost. I would be shocked if Terrakina lost to Harris, and I'd be shocked if Cassiope lost to Skyler. And I don't think I'd be I'd be really surprised if Brands lost to Broderson, and everything else. I'd be like, all right, I could see it.
I agree with you, David, 100%. But my number 10 would probably be Terrakina. And I think you said him first, but that would be my, if he's wrestling Harris. So.
Yeah, in some order, 25, 65, 285. So, yeah. I mean, and I think, let's put it this way. If Real Woods isn't wrestling, then Swiderski would probably be my number 6, my 10, 9, 8, 7. He'd be my 6. I mean, because he's really good. Those other 5 matchups are all freaking toss-ups.
Yep.
So, all right, let me stop presenting here and then get over to the flow pre-seeds and see if we can just at least kind of discuss those the last 5-10 minutes here. All right, so these are the pre-seeds. 25, I'm not going to document this, but we'll just kind of throw some picks together real quick. DiAgostino, Ramos, they spelled Brandon Kaler's last name wrong. Heinzelman, Ventresca, Ferry, Smith, Cronin, Tremblay, Mauger, McHenry, Owens. I'll go first here. I think McHenry is a guy that's interesting. If he's the 11 seed, he would get Ferry, who he could wrestle. He could get Kaler, who he's just as good on his feet with. But Mark correctly thought that Matt Ramos down to 25 was a really good move. I don't see anybody but Ramos or DiAgostino making the finals. Marco, what do you think?
Agreed.
GT.
I think I'll take an upset at Brandon Kaler making the finals.
Okay. Mark, I cut you off. What were you going to say?
I think Ramos wins the weight too. I'm just impressed with him.
No,
he's an absolute beast.
Yeah. So, and it's good that he left because clearly, like him and oh God, why am I trying to complete like McKee? Yeah, like they both couldn't coexist. Okay, 33. Vito, McGee, Ragusin, Cannon, Latona, Mendez, Biscaglia, Dryden, Fippen, Carter, Arini, Rich, Shaner. Marco, you can go here. Who you got?
I'm going to go Rujao, and I'm going to go with Ragusin.
Wow. McGee beat him up last year.
Yep.
I'm
GT?
going to go McGee.
Arujao and McGee, and Arujao winning?
Yep.
Yeah, same. I'm interested to see, like, I'm a little surprised Vito's at 33 this year, but I think maybe it's don't cut weight all year and then get down for the World Team Trials kind of thing. So, or the U.S. Open, because I think there's going to be a change to that format. Okay, 41, GT, you can go first here, which is great because God only knows who's going to win this weight class. Matten, Carlson, Crook, Jack, Belton, D'Amelio, Cornella, Hardy, Vasquez, Miller, Happel, Filius, Casimir, Greenwood, Coderhant, Sayans.
Awesome world that we live in. I'm going to go Clay Carlson, Ryan Jack final.
I like that. I like that. That's salty. I'm about to pick something even crazier. So go ahead, Mark.
Very good pick, Grant. You do know Clay Carlson just lost Minnesota's backup.
Yes.
Clay Carlson is also a Big 12 finalist, boys.
Yes. I'm amazed the way he's lost a couple of matches this year that you just didn't expect. I'm going to go with Jack in the finals, and I'm going to go with Crooks from Virginia Tech. Crooks.
I'm going Jack and Cornella.
Yeah, Cornella's tough too.
I thought I'd get more of a reaction than that. Picking the 7th seed, but okay. All right.
I mean,
we don't have a lot of confidence in Cole Matten, apparently.
I almost picked Happel from you and I. It's just the weight that I have no idea who's going to be there.
Yeah. All right. So this is a great weight. 49. Sasso, Milner, Parko, Yaya, bunch of other guys, but I think it comes down to those four. I'm gonna go Sasso, Parko. GT.
I'm gonna go Milner, Yaya.
Okay. I like that.
I do. I'm going to go with Yaya and Milner also. Grant, I like that. Yep.
So I'm definitely, well, you guys now know, put your money on Milner and Yaya. When those guys pick against me, I'm always wrong. 57. Lewan, Rob, Antonian, Scott, Kendall Coleman, Chumbley, Patty Gallagher, Holschlag, Keller, Marco.
I'm going to go with Ed Scott in the finals against Peyton Robb.
GT.
I'm going to have a coming out party for Patty Gallagher. I'm going to go Gallagher and Will Luan.
I am gonna go with that pick, GT. I like that a lot. So,
Oh, boy.
65. Karchla, Ramirez, Ogunsanya, Negron. And I don't think the rest of these guys realistically have any shot of making the finals. It's a interesting weight. So, GT, who you got?
I'll go stock. Karchla, Ramirez.
Feels chalky to me too. Mark, you disagree?
Nope. Same thing.
Okay. 74. Good weight on paper. Mackay, Labriola, Romero, Ethan Smith, Foca, Canigliaro, Hastings, DeVos, Fisher. Bunch of guys ranked here. Marco.
I'm going to take Mackay, and I want to take Labriola. I think Romero, I just haven't seen him wrestle in 2 years, so I have no idea what he's up to. I'm going to go with Labriola until I see a little bit of Romero.
You got Mackay winning?
I got Mackay winning.
GT?
I'm going to take Mackay and Labs. Mackay winning.
Yep, I agree with you guys, and I agree with Mark. I think Romero is interesting here, right? Like, he hasn't wrestled in a couple years. He's like a seventh-year guy. He's a guy that we don't really know what tier he's on, but could be really good. All right, 84, really good weight. Keckheisen, Hidley, Romero, Munoz, Lowe, Boland, Feinsilver, Montalvo. I think after that, it kind of thins out. I'm going to go, this feels super chalky to me. Keckheisen over Hidley, 3-2 in the finals. GT?
Yeah, I'll take Keckheisen and Hidley, but look at this. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10.
Yeah.
Like,
awesome weight.
I think the quarters in some of these ones that are like the feel chalky, like we're going to have some crazy maybe semis or quarter matches.
Yeah, Boland, Romero, and Munoz Lowe are two really great quarters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Marco?
Could Munoz beat Keckheisen?
Are you going to pick that?
I don't know. Keckheisen's a beast. I love that guy. I'm going to go Keckheisen over Hidley in the finals.
I think Munoz could take Keckheisen down once or twice. I just think Keckheisen's going to get 2 or 3. He just keeps going.
Yep.
That shows you – that's a takeaway from the All-Star meet. That shows you how good Aaron Brooks is.
Oh. Did he look – am I wrong, or is he better than he was last year? Or he's just opening up more?
I think he's better. I think he's better for sure. So this is an interesting weight class because the way the rankings are, Flo's rankings don't match up to the seeds at all. So the seeds, pre-seeds are Sloan 1, Trumbull 2, Hoffman 3, Norfleet 4, Harvey 5, Allred 6, Rogers 7, Bachman 8. GT, who we got?
I'll take Hoffman, and I'll take Sloan.
All right, I'll get out of the way here, Mark. That's exactly who I was going to pick. So go ahead.
I'm going to take Trumbull and Sloan in the finals. And I'm going to take Trumbull to win it.
Trumbull.
Okay. Nebraska boy, that's all I know for sure.
Yeah. All right, I think I can save us some time here. Is anybody picking anything besides Schultz and Paris in the finals?
Nope.
Nope.
Yeah, okay. Thought so. Okay, so Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything here. I don't believe I did. Oh, selfish plug, Matt Chat, National Wrestling Hall of Fame, Dual Meet Classic guys are on there. Ethan Kyle, Ed Gallegos, Leroy Smith. We've got 9 of the top 50 teams in the country. Of the other 7, 6 of them are state championship teams. We got late notice. Mark, Ben Ostrander is going to be an appearance at the National Wrestling Hall of Fame duels, doing some low-key scouting for Iowa and Northwestern, I think, while he's down there.
I heard he was going to maybe broadcast a little bit too. That's just a rumor that's going out there, so we'll see.
We could get him on the air. We're not afraid.
I think he should.
Ben's a walking
really
son of a gun. He's got away with the words. GT, what's up with Grandview? What's on their schedule?
The Doan Invitational this weekend, and then preparing for the Reno Tournament of Champions here closer to the holidays.
Yeah, you guys give those kids a couple weeks off for finals, make sure all their grades are right and everything.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, have you guys ever been out to the CLK tournament in Vegas?
Not yet. We've gone to the Desert Duels in Las Vegas for a long time throughout the tenure of our career, and then Reno as of late, probably past like 4 or 5 years.
So this will come out afterwards, but I'm literally hanging this up and going straight to do Seckman Hillsboro, a dual meet here in Missouri, the #1 Class 3 team against the #2 Class 4 team. This is very cool what they're doing. They're doing it as part of a school assembly. So there's going to be 1,500 kids there, and They gave the away team 50 tickets. So it's going to be super loud. And then next week, boys, I leave Tuesday. We'll figure out when we're going to podcast, but I'm at the BJJ Worlds, No-Gi World Championships next week. GT, our guy Pixley, is going to be out there again, along with the Pedigo boys. I got a couple of my guys fighting. And then I go straight from there. You guys know what a morning person I am. I fly out 6 a.m. from Anaheim to Des Moines to do the World Cup. I get to do interviews for USA Wrestling. Hopefully I'll bump into Mark. I know I'm definitely going to pester GT at least once. So take a picture so people know he's actually my friend. And hopefully Mark will work it out with the train schedule so he can pop over, man. So it's going to be awesome. The World Cup is great. And that podcast is still up, by the way, with Josh Schomburger from Think Iowa. He did a great job. I sent you this last night, guys. I'm probably a little too old to care about a lot of this stuff, but Dan Gable retweeted Matt Chat last night, which was not the worst thing that happened in my night last night. So, Coach Gable.
David, I also saw Dan Gable went into the Penn wrestling room after the meet.
Yeah.
And talked to the kids, which was really, I mean, that would have to be a really cool experience for the kids that wrestle for Penn when you get to have somebody like Gable come in and tell them how hard they work and what an improvement they've made there at that school. That's kind of cool. So.
Yeah, he's a great ambassador for the sport. I actually, at the 2004 Olympics, I watched the Olympic trials. I watched the finals sitting between my father and Dan Gable. Like, if they took a picture and said which of these guys doesn't belong with the other two, that would have been a real easy identification. I was definitely Waldo in that picture. So it's my favorite hour of the week, boys. Appreciate you guys. Thanks everybody for watching and listening. We'll speak to y'all next week.